Hi, my name's Phil Rice, and you're watching this video because you may be required to drive for work purposes, whether this be on a regular or an infrequent basis. We take driving safely very seriously, and we expect you to do the same.
We can all be complacent about driving, as it's something many of us do every day. However, from a workplace safety perspective, it's a hazardous task with real risks and dangers. It's highly likely you've been involved in at least one serious vehicle accident, or one of your family members or friends has been. Driving is also something that you do completely unsupervised, and it can be affected by third parties, such as passengers, motorists, or pedestrians.
Your safety is of the utmost importance to us. That's why we have the safe driving policy and this great fact sheet with safe driving information. You'll be required to read both and sign this acknowledgement form before you're permitted to drive for work purposes.
Let's talk about speeding. Speeding is a major factor that contributes to crashes and is the main influence on the severity of a crash. It's important to observe speed limits and drive at a safe speed, making adjustments for conditions like rain or fog and in areas with poor visibility or high pedestrian traffic.
Our expectation is that you drive within the speed limit and at an appropriately safe speed at all times.
Now on to seatbelts. Seatbelts are a proven means of reducing injuries in the event of a crash, saving lives and preventing serious injury.
Our expectation is that you wear a seatbelt whenever you're driving a vehicle.
Now let's talk about headrests. Head restraint position is important in preventing whiplash and rear impact crashes. The headrest should be at least as high as the head's centre of gravity, which is eye level and above, and as close to the back of the head as possible.
Our expectation is that you adjust the headrest to an appropriate height whenever you're driving for any purpose other than short trip valet parking.
Mobile phones. Using a mobile phone when driving increases your chance of having a crash by 400%. Talking on a mobile phone while driving can distract you, and it can seriously affect your ability to control your vehicle. Studies have shown that this is particularly evident in slowed reaction times to traffic light changes, slowed braking times, and reduced abilities to corner, brake, and avoid obstacles. Handheld use of a mobile phone while driving is illegal.
Our expectation is that you do not use a mobile phone when driving. We strongly discourage the use of hands-free mobile phones because recent studies have shown that the distraction factor is similar to the use of handheld mobile phones. I suggest that you turn off your phone, or at least put it on silent, and respond to your calls after your journey.
Now I'd like to talk about fatigue. Fatigue is basically a lack of sleep. Driving when fatigued significantly increases injury risk, whether that be through impairing driving skill or by the inability of the driver to resist falling asleep at the wheel. It can be as dangerous as driving drunk. Some common signs of fatigue include yawning, heavy eyes, reduced concentration or zoning out, delayed reactions, difficulty in keeping the car within a lane or drifting off the road.
We expect you to plan realistic driving schedules, to stop for appropriate rest breaks, to take a power nap if you're feeling tired, and to avoid the consumption of alcohol before or during your journey. Alternatives such as taxis or public transport should be considered where appropriate. And if you're concerned about your level of fatigue, please speak to your supervisor or manager.
Now let's talk about alcohol, medications, and other drugs. Consuming even low amounts of alcohol can impact on the skills necessary for driving. Drugs can also impair a driver's ability to drive safely, and accident fatalities involving drug use are on the rise.
Our expectation is that you minimise or preferably avoid the consumption of alcohol before driving, and under no circumstances be over the blood alcohol limit for your class of licence. You must never drive under the influence of medications or other drugs that are likely to affect your alertness or your ability to drive. Do not drive if you're unfit to do so. Contact your supervisor or manager if you're unsure about your fitness to drive.
You work in a predominantly unsupervised environment when you drive for work purposes, so following this guidance and driving safely comes down to how you act. Having clearly outlined our expectations and provided you with the safe driving policy and safe driving information, the expectancy is that you follow these at all times.
Due to the serious risk to your safety and that of others by not driving safely, Failure to comply will result in formal performance management, and this can extend to and include termination of your employment.
I hope you found this useful in explaining key aspects for safe driving and explaining our expectations when you're driving for work purposes.
Please ensure that you've read and understood the safe driving policy and the safe driving fact sheet. When you have done so, please provide the signed safe driving policy acknowledgement form to your manager.
Remember, driving safely is your responsibility and is primarily about ensuring your safety at work. Thank you and drive safe.